And I also just want you to consider this kind of PSA that ultimately we can accomplish nothing without the people in our community. We may be drawn to this field because of our love of animals, but if we don't find a place in our marketing plan to also love our interactions with humans, then we're really shutting down a lot of potential, because those animals don't go out and live independent lives. They live with a human, and we need to really connect better with our fellow humans through some of the ways that we're talking about today, if we want to really do what's best for the animals. So just keep that in mind. The other thing that I would love for you to think about is how we can be more accessible and approachable. And that doesn't mean that we don't have to sometimes deliver tough messages, or that we can't ask for help when we need it, especially, again, at this moment in time. We need to be communicating really clearly and asking for help wherever possible, because we're not going to be able to, make it through this crisis without the community's support. But take, for instance, this post, which is about Mimsy, and I'll let you guys kind of read that description. But what I want to call to mind is that so often when we have an animal who is stressed in the shelter, we reference things like kennel stress, or we say, the shelter is a really stressful place. And we know what that means from within the field. If you say that to me, I know exactly what you mean. We can build the most beautiful shelter. It's still not a home. It still can be very stressful for some animals. But I want you to look at that from the community perspective, and how it might actually reinforce these misconceptions that the shelter isn't trying hard enough, or that the shelter is a terrible, scary place. So in this write-up, when they don't go that route of saying that the shelter is a stressful place, and instead focus on Mimsy's particular needs, and just really say, come meet her and turn her little frown upside down, that they're able to deliver a message that this animal needs help without also kind of sliming all their other good work with misconceptions. So I want to very briefly, because we don't have a lot of time left, talk about adoption counseling and bio writing. About bio writing and how that is different from adoption counseling. And I have a few examples for you. But really the gist of this is, we don't want our bios to do so much heavy lifting because of all the reasons that we've talked about so far. If there's a lot of stop signs, as the folks at Maddie's Fund like to say, or there's a lot of language that is jargony or scary, then rather than opening up a conversation about a potential adoption, we're kind of slamming the door in the face of all that potential that an animal has. So there's a couple of different strategies. Obviously, writing from the heart is one. And here's a great example. I'll let you guys kind of explore that on your own. But they do a beautiful job here of just really speaking from the heart about a dog who needs a little bit of attention. There's also some fun templates that we provide at HeartSpeak. If you're feeling a little bit creative, or if you want to share these kinds of things with foster homes right now who have a little bit more time and who are getting to know these animals a little bit better, I think this could be an amazing tool. So basically conducting almost like a magazine interview with the animal. When I say the word agility course, what comes to mind? What's your guilty pleasure? Do you have any special talents? And then I just want to show you this example of an interview in action with Ozzy. If he were a food, he would be a Twinkie. Favorite place I visited is the lap. Car ride or long walk, chauffeur, please. So we're starting to get a little glimpse of his personality. Beach or mountains, either if it's on TV. Favorite day of the week, any day that I'm with you. And then we get immediately the contact information for the shelter, which kind of gives us this full package of information. And then I want to just provide you guys with a bunch of roadmaps and fill in the blanks. And again, these are all tools that I'm hopeful you can share with staff who may have some time to dive into marketing at this moment. And especially with foster homes who have, again, access to all this new information that maybe we weren't learning about animals when they were in our shelter. And here's a great example of how this very simple roadmap is turned into this more kind of elaborate bio. And then my personal favorite is kind of a combination of writing from the heart and also being able to use mix and matches for conveying information that maybe I'm not sure how to write about. So something like, in terms of other pets, so-and-so gives roommates a thumbs up, a thumbs down, an A+. a chance if they're low key and respectful. It really gives you the space to kind of fill in the blank the way that you need to. I think another one that we get a lot of questions about is, the animal's history or past. And we know that often we have none of that information, but since we know that adopters want to know it, sometimes it's good to address it by just saying, well, this animal's life is, previous life is unknown to us. What we can tell you is blah, 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 blah. And really just using that as a pivot point to, hey, we don't know this information, but let us tell you some really valuable stuff that we do know about this animal. If you are like me, when you write bios or social posts, sometimes you get a little bit of writer's block. So we have some tools that I hope will be helpful in that regard as well. And these are all both, in this presentation and downloadable from the HeartSpeak website. And I want to finally take these last couple of minutes just to talk about social media and digital media. And we're focusing specifically on that kind of marketing, excuse me, because it's so accessible. So it's free. It is easy to attain. You're able to execute on social media goals with just, one person or some volunteers even. And that it also taps into this kind of community aspect of animal welfare, that it absolutely takes a community, it takes a village to be able to accomplish our goals and our missions within the sheltering world. And we get access to that community much, much easier through digital media. So here's, if we're just speaking very generally about social media, the secrets to success, quote unquote, which obviously are always changing slightly based on what platform you're using and what the algorithm says. But these things are a little bit more evergreen. Making messages easy to act on, making sure that you're really clear in your call to action, making sure that you're using lots of amazing video and photos to get someone's attention so that then they will stick around and listen to that message. Really, really giving thought to some of those goals we talked about earlier in this presentation. How do you want the community to see you? And how can we use some of these resources at our disposal to help them see you a little bit more clearly in that way that you would like? This is, I think really helpful to know, depending on what your role is in the shelter and what your staffing looks like. You may not be the administrator of social media, but you may be a supporter. Just realize that even as a supporter, you have so much capability in influencing some of these things, like being able to like and comment, retweet or reshare some of the content. All of that matters and is really valuable to the way that those posts perform. As someone who has to manage social media, help with writing content or people sending me images is so, so valuable. And especially right now, while many of us are, our teams may be split up, or we may, have a very non-traditional working environment right now, being able to open up those lines of communication, like maybe I'm not at the shelter today, I need you to send me images of the animals who are still there because I physically can't be there. And using tools like, Dropbox and some of the free tools that are available right now, Google Drive, any of the stuff that's being offered up, especially at this moment, to make that that a little bit easier for you. And then the last thing that I really want to say in this kind of general sense of social media is that we have to remember that it's social. We need to remember to respond to comments, to respond to messages. It needs to be a two-way street and a two-way conversation if we really want to use social media to the best of our ability. It's really hard if you're just talking at people and not having that response and that social element to it. The next couple slides are specifically about Facebook, Instagram, and then all the other platforms, basically what's next. And I'll let you guys kind of explore that on your own. Again, we're kind of running out of time at this point, but what I do want you to kind of remember and take away from this piece of the conversation is that Facebook should be your home base. If you're not using Facebook, you need to be. If you're rocking Facebook and you're ready for a new platform, Instagram's a great option. And then in terms of what other platforms to add in, it's really going to come down to your organization and what your goals are. But don't feel like you need to jump on the newest trend if it's just going to add more work to your plate and you're not ultimately going to be able to perform the best in that environment. There's no point in being on every single social media platform and not really engaging with people. What's much more valuable is being on one or two and really, really putting a lot of engagement into those places. So before we go, I just want to share this list of resources and tools specifically, again, because of this moment that we find ourselves in, some COVID-19 marketing and communications tools that I think are really valuable at this moment in time. So this communications guide is the one at the top. We have a set of graphics, free overlays and things like that are, specific calls to action like foster or adopt for the shelter at this moment in time. Free stock photos that I'm really proud to say that we're offering right now, as well as Canva templates. So really trying to make some of these marketing tools much more accessible. We also have this blog on 10 tips for great foster photos that you're welcome to share. And any of this stuff can just be found at heartspeak.org. So it's heartspeak.org. And that is how you would gain access to any of those free tools that are listed there. I'm so grateful for the opportunity. My name again is Caitlin Quinn, and I hope that you'll be in touch if you have any questions or if I can share any more information with you. Thank you.